Hi, I'm Glenn Whipp, awards columnist for the Los Angeles Times. The Primetime Emmys were handed out last night. A lot of people left the evening very happy. I don't think any of those people are joining me today, but we're going to have a little bit of airing of grievances with Times television critic
I
Mary
left real
McNamara.
happy, Glenn. I don't know about you. No.
Television reporter Yvonne Villarreal. And joining us from Baltimore, Baltimore Sun, television media critic David Zurawik. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
So, Mary, I know for one, because I was 3 desks over from you last night, and I could hear the grinding of the teeth. It was getting louder and louder through the evening.
Are your teeth okay? Are they there?
Fine. No, well, you know what? It was a really good show. I was very happy I thought Seth Meyers did a really good job. There were some really funny bits. I just was a little disappointed that we didn't see some new faces up at the podium, and I think a lot of people were, and I think it kind of, it was a deflating, continual deflation as we kept seeing the repeats, which is kind of terrible because it's not like these people are not doing wonderful work. They absolutely are. Everybody who won deserved an Emmy, but the problem is a lot of the people who didn't win deserved an Emmy too, and they didn't get one, and they didn't have previous ones. So that was kind of frustrating. And of course, Game of Thrones, I really was hoping this was their year.
There was no crow.
And it didn't. There was no crow for you to eat, no raven, and I was very disappointed. But it was Breaking Bad. It was Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad.
Yeah, a certain.
Go around.
I understand.
Don't be a
I
hater.
get it. I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. I was just there is so much good TV. There is so much good TV that it does seem like we need to spread the love around a little bit more.
But had you thought like True Detective might take that win? Or?
I thought I was not surprised that Breaking Bad won Best Drama. I was hoping, that we might see in the acting categories some different faces. I thought Matthew McConaughey would win. I really did. And as the evening wore on, everyone in the room seemed to be assuming that he was going to win, and he got a lot of jokes, he got a lot of attention, and I have to say he was such a good sport about all of it, especially when he didn't win. That was kind of the mark of a true star, is he maintained his poise throughout.
And he had such a good suit. It should have been spotlighted.
And he and Woody were so great as presenters. Right. I actually did want to hear that acceptance speech. But that is not to take away from Bryan Cranston's fine achievement, which was fine. So, I guess it's just one of those things where there's just so much good TV. You don't know how to give it enough awards.
Except every winner in the comedy and drama categories was somebody who had already won an Emmy, and in most cases won more than one Emmy.
Right. The only Sherlock won, and that was really good. Sherlock won for the first time. Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman, and then Stephen Moffat won, and Freeman and Cumberbatch didn't even show up, so you assumed they didn't think they were going to win. And Moffat seemed genuinely at a loss. I mean, he got up there and he's like, I really didn't think this was going to happen, and and then got off the stage. But I was very happy to see Sherlock win, even though calling it a miniseries or a movie or whatever they called it to get the win was a little strange.
David, was there anything about the evening that kind of jumped out for you in terms of the way the awards were handed out?
Well, in terms of what Mary said, I totally agree. There was so much talent there, and especially in that Best Actor category, drama, and in the Best Drama category. Look, of course, being in Baltimore with House of Cards, I would have liked to have seen House of Cards do a lot better. And in some ways, if you look at Bo Williman's writing, the showrunner for that series, it's really outstanding. And if you consider the presence and the power and the legitimacy that Kevin Spacey brought to that production and how hard he works, he's a legitimate candidate for the Best Actor in that category as well. He was most of the picks. I went with Breaking Bad, but I didn't go all in on Best Actor. I thought, no, McConaughey's going to win. There's no way around it. But after Cranston won, I thought back through it, and I thought, you know what? For a last season, Cranston was steady in his sort of brilliance. He was a rock through that last season. McConaughey, we loved him. He exploded in the first couple episodes of True Detective. It was a revelation. It blew me out of my seat the first episode. But by the end, just as the series itself sort of lost its way at the end, I felt his energy dropped off from those first couple of episodes. So, you know, I'm surprised. What I'm trying to say here is I'm surprised I fell for the flash of Matthew McConaughey as opposed to the really exceptional and rare performance that Bryan Cranston gave across the last season. He never let up. They were at a peak at the very end. So I really do think he deserves it. Aaron Paul, I think, was better than him through the year. Absolutely, and it's time for Anna Gunn. I have no problem. I think she deserved to win. I would have liked to have seen Robin Wright get the Best Actress drama, but I'm sounding like a homer, so I'll stop talking.
That kind of covers drama a bit, but comedy, Modern Family continues its juggernaut. 5 seasons, 5 Emmys for Best Series. Yvonne, you were backstage. Was that a popular choice among the journalists?
I think backstage it's more about thinking of the fingers, and when it's always Modern Family and it's that big cast, we're always kind of like, oh my god, oh my god, how do we keep up with this? But yeah, like we like when there's new people back there and hearing different aspects. And we were talking about Netflix and drama. Like we thought Netflix was like shut out even in the like people thought Orange is the New Black might have had a chance to dethrone there. So it was interesting.
Yeah, that's a popular. Orange is the New Black was a kind of a popular pick for winning that category. I did hear from Television Academy members who just thought, wrong category. It's a drama, and I think it's gonna. I would not even be shocked if they move to drama next year, because the second season, a lot less comedy. I mean, it's pretty intense with V and everything like that. But Modern Family. Even 2 years ago, when I was backstage at the Emmys, Steve Levitan, the co-creator of the show, came backstage, and you got the sense that he was almost apologetic for winning number 3 in a row. So now you're at 5.
Well, it's also become a gag. Like we're gonna hear about whatever, like what underwear Sofia Vergara is wearing, because she likes to mention that she's always wearing her Kmart underwear. But I mean, people still watch that show. We're not saying it's not deserving. It's just fun to see other people get in there.
Right. Yeah. Is it deserving 5 times?
They tied Frasier, right?
They tied Frasier. For the all-time series record. And Christopher Lloyd, the co-creator, now has 10 Emmys for producing both Frasier and Modern Family.
He's going to have to start recycling some of them, I think.
I kind of wish he talked backstage, but
Lloyd? He doesn't even go.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He doesn't even go to.
I know, but it would have been good to see him back there for this big one.
He's very happy.
Well, when they win next year and they break the Frasier record,
maybe he'll come next
show
year.
Up then.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about the Emmys, is that I think Modern Family is now at the point where it's probably going to stop. It's done its 5. I kind of wonder if it'll ever win again. The Emmy voters reach a point where it's very predictable, and then it's on to the next thing.
Right.
And then they'll give Orange is the New Black if it stays in comedy.
I kind of also thought Veep might get in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't see Orange is the New Black coming back in comedy, because the second season is so different. Right. I was hoping they would win just because it was like the most auspicious, newest kind of show that we had seen, at all. And the category, it sort of defies categorization, and I guess that's a problem for voters as opposed to critics. We don't worry so much about that. But I did think that there was like kind of, every year we get the conversation about how cable is owning the Emmys and the poor, the big 4, the broadcast networks don't. But I mean, well into the evening, the big 4 was winning. I mean, it's like we saw a lot of wins from the traditional networks, not as many, and no wins for Netflix, I think. I mean, no big wins for Netflix.
Last night.
And, and so I think that I wonder if there was a message there, which is that, hey, as much as television may seem to be changing, this is still television, baby. It's like the big networks are still television.
Yeah.
And that's a great point, because my thought was, in a way, after the Comedy Awards, is how conservative and mainstream the Academy, maybe it's the Academy, not television itself, is same thing. Orange is the New Black. And Veep, you know, again, I'll sound like a homer, but because they produce it here as well. But when you,
you got skin in the game.
I just want to make sure I keep access. But seriously, when you look at what Veep does, first of all, in terms of capturing or at least addressing the dysfunction and malaise in Washington right now in a humorous way, in a way that I think a lot of people are seething at Washington. Congress doesn't work. We wonder sometimes about whether the president is seriously engaged in what's going on in the world. And that makes us angry. Somehow, Veep speaks to that anger and yet lets us laugh at it. You know, I think Frank Rich, one of the executive producers, said, you know, we tune in, we hope people will tune in seething about Washington, and then by the end of it they'll be laughing about it, and then they can, when the final credits roll, then they can start seething again about Washington. That's a really smart show. Orange is the New Black really excited people. It generated an edge. It looked at, you know, relationships of power and gender and a whole bunch of things in a really intelligent way. I like Modern Family too, but I just thought enough already. In a way, you know, I remember talking to them the first year, and I was going, oh, it's so great you have these different kinds of characters that we're not used to seeing in primetime television. And they would go, yes, but it's a very traditional comedy. You must emphasize that it's a very traditional comedy. And they do. There's always the hug and the laugh and the, you know, the family unit is reaffirmed continually. Well, that's 1950s television with the Goldbergs, you know. I mean, we're still doing it, you know, 70 years later. And that's okay. Again, I'm with what's being said there. It's totally fine. It's a really good show, but I would have loved to see Orange is the New Black or Veep get a little more. Now, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, of course, is...
What about that kiss? That kiss.
Bryan Cranston kiss.
That was good.
Funny.
I mean,
It lasted like 11
very funny.
seconds.
Even if you don't subscribe to HBO, so you're wondering, well, why does Julie Louis-Dreyfus keep winning these awards? I mean, Veep's but you see her acceptance speeches.
Yes, that like
She's
demonstrates.
very
like this.
Well,
little,
and they were in that great ad for the Emmys this year.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul. I mean, she's very funny, and she's always up for doing something like with Amy Poehler. She's just, I mean, she is a very brilliant comedian. I think it is interesting though that she wins year after year after year, and like no one else for the show does, which is kind of weird.
Tony Hill won last
Won
year.
one year, yeah. But like,
so.
you know, Anna Chomsky was up this time. She's great. The writers are great. The show is great. It's like, she, you know, as great as Julie Louis-Dreyfus is, she is not the entirety of the show. And so it is kind of odd that she keeps winning, but, you know, it doesn't seem to spread out.
Yeah, well,
to
maybe
a best.
next year, maybe on the cusp.
Yeah.
Now, I think our lovely producer, Michelle, has assembled some photos that she wants us just to look at from the red carpet.
No, we're just going to
offer
examine
some
the kiss
thoughts.
some more and the
Exactly.
technique.
Would you? Yeah.
The
It looked
power
like a
of the
very
tongue.
Really
real,
focused on
serious kiss.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's Lena Dunham
Lena Dunham.
in her dress.
Which Glenn loved.
Right?
I
Well,
don't know that I loved it, but I just like freaky red carpet dresses. You know, old school Cher type. You know, bring the weirdness to the
she's
red
being
carpet.
true to herself.
Yes.
Yes, she is.
She is. I don't like her as a blonde, though. I like her.
She looks more Peter Pan than Allison Williams.
Now we're seeing like some
What is
really
this hair? This is good hair?
big close-ups. Here. Yes.
I guess we're going to take questions too.
Are we taking
We are.
questions?
Okay. Well, let's keep looking. This is just red carpet roll,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Everybody having
Okay.
fun.
We do have a question
Sweating.
from Crescent Vale on Twitter. She's wondering, do you think smaller budget projects should have a larger platform to gain exposure at award shows?
Well, I do think, I mean, I always tend to favor the new things. The new, the fresh, because I think that one of the things that the Emmys can do is bring more eyeballs to shows that maybe don't have big audiences, that, you know, maybe even if they are on cable, which people complain about, but a lot of them then are available on Netflix or on Amazon, which is not prohibitively expensive. And so I think that that the Academy needs to like take that into consideration sometimes, and to champion not maybe not a specific show, but if like there has been some breakthrough, some type of show like Orange is the New Black, where you have this fabulous diverse female cast, this like sprawling kind of it's not really a prison show, it's just like it's like nothing you've ever seen before. So but on the other hand, it is not about the awards are not supposed to be about like who's the most different, it's like who's the best. But I think if it comes down to like a tie, like they're both fabulous, I would always go with championing championing the new and getting people excited about it.
So were you upset about Allison Tolman being shut out?
I was, man. She was so good. She was so good. And Lizzie Kaplan. Like those were I really wanted to see both of those women take home a statue, just because it's just so nice to see these totally, well, not Lizzie Kaplan, she's been, but for Allison Tolman, this is like her debut ever as an actress, and to deliver such a fine performance and to hold her own with, seasoned veteran performers who, can easily steal a scene from anybody. I thought that her performance was amazing, and that would have been great.
Right. I mean, when we did have surprises last night at the Emmys, they were not necessarily the surprises we wanted to have. It's like the 2 or 3 times, really, Kathy Bates, and not.
Kathy
Bates. A lot of people thought Allison Tolman or Julia Roberts for Normal Heart.
Right. Yeah.
And then Kathy Bates, really.
Kathy Bates.
Wow.
Well, you know what? I love Kathy Bates so much. I can't.
On the blood smearing, I would give it to her just for the blood smearing on American Horror Story, but still.
And also, the woman did act many scenes just as a head. That does a degree of difficulty, and she pulled it off. And I can't get upset.
That's how I write a lot of my stories. Yeah, just with my head. Yeah.
Or with blood smeared on you.
Jessica Lange, same show, won over Cicely Tyson.
Cicely, well, I love Jessica Lange, and she was tremendous, and she is always tremendous in American Horror Story. I mean, she is the anchor of that show. She has like carried that show, and but Cicely Tyson in Trip to Bountiful it was just an astonishing performance, and that one really did kind of shock me. I thought that was kind of sewn up, but maybe they thought, well, she got the Tony, she doesn't need the Emmy.
Yeah.
How about, what do we think of The Normal Heart? I mean, it had 16 nominations, a lot of them like in the major categories for acting, and it went home with just 2.
Yeah.
And one, it was,
Well, I think especially with the supporting roles, it was almost funny, except for that it wasn't funny because they kept listing The Normal Heart, oh, and Martin Freeman for Sherlock, and then Martin Freeman wins. But I mean, that's like a classic case of split the vote. It's like of all of the performances were so good, but who would you pick out of that group? And then with Mark Ruffalo, I mean, I actually was surprised that he didn't win, but again, I can't get upset because Benedict Cumberbatch for Sherlock, I mean, that is an amazing performance too, and one that has extended over and over.
David, did you prefer Normal Heart or Sherlock?
I would have The Normal Heart. I would have really liked to have seen more wins for The Normal Heart, because the passion and also the sense of social conscience that cast brought it to that, cast and crew brought to that film. I think it would have elevated the telecast last night if they had had more Emmys, just by the presence in the hall. But I also think it was really an outstanding film, and I wish it had received more Emmys last night. I really do. Sherlock is, social, we have almost no social conscience on TV anymore. Television is not particularly socially conscious anymore. And so when something like The Normal Heart comes along, and it speaks forcefully, it speaks fiercely, and it speaks with a moral authority, you would love to see it be rewarded for that more. Now, it won Best Movie. It was not up against great competition, but I'm glad it at least won Best Movie last night.
And the telecast itself, I mean, we've mentioned it briefly, pretty entertaining. Seth Meyers did an okay job, right? Low-key.
I thought he did a really good job.
Some good bits
his opener
throughout.
Was funny and smart, and not, he wasn't trying to sing or dance his way into our hearts. I mean, I'm an old-fashioned. I like them
some
to come
people
out,
thought he
give
was
the
a little
monologue,
muted.
make me laugh. But I thought and I thought having Billy Eichner on was so great.
Oh, that was
oh
a
my God,
great bit.
so funny.
And
I
Jimmy Kimmel too was
Jimmy
funny.
Kimmel was hilarious. I thought having the Q&As with the audience was very funny. Melissa McCarthy with her parking her car was just hilarious. So I kept thinking they're working so hard and then they keep getting dragged down by the actual award, which is terrible.
Right.
How about I miss this from backstage, because when people are coming through with their wins to talk about them, they tone down. I mean, they turn down the volume on the actual telecast. But there was like some controversy with Sofia Vergara and like this thing she did about diversity.
Yeah.
Like what happened, because she was defending it backstage, and I was sort of
the Television Academy official president came out to do his blah blah speech, and they put Sofia Vergara on sort of a revolving platform,
and it was supposed to make it more interesting.
Yeah. He was talking about the social significance of television, even if it's not quite there. And then she was just kind of modeling while she was doing it, and social media went crazy, saying,
it didn't work. I mean, it was, it was obvious. It came off as being, and I know that was not the intention, but it did come off as being very sexist about kind of reducing this woman to, she was like showing her curves, and I mean, she's a beautiful woman, and there's no getting away from those curves. And so when she stands up on a pedestal, I mean, she didn't even have to model. It's like kind of like,
it's just like she could be like
exactly.
This. Yeah.
I mean, it was just it was a really strange note. And then to have the president like kind of droning on with this little smirk on his face, it was not great. And it was just one of those things that probably they thought it was gonna it would like not last quite as long. It also went on for quite a bit, so that was unfortunate.
She spun around quite a few times.
It was a bad
was
note.
a little dizzy when she,
Well, and backstage she said people need to lighten up. Backstage.
I think she was fine with it. I mean, it's not like she. I think she's very happy to show off those. She likes Emmy night on the red carpet. But that was kind of the one misstep overall. The show was,
and everybody's allowed a misstep. It looks good on paper. Doesn't really work on camera.
I thought it was I thought it was a good solid telecast. And Seth Meyers he's very good at finding a mainstream tone and sort of not violating. And he did it. And I thought, at the end, I thought, was he too tame? But I don't. I really thought he's really very, very, very good. He's not going to give you the big hit, though, that people are talking about the next day. He's not going to go near the edge. And it's funny because he has such a keen political sensibility from his days on Saturday Night Live. He's so smart. But he doesn't go quite that far in his job as sort of an MC or a host. He understands himself, I think, really well. And I really did he came out, he did a decent, I thought, an amusing monologue, and he took on, the elephant in the room, the fact that it was on in August, a month before it should have been, and they were bowing to NBC's one-hit show, football, which was maddening. That you the three of you know this better than me, but this is like one of the deadest months in show business, and they put this thing on. I think they don't release movies in this month because they think the audience is just not engaged. Let's put on the Emmys. I'm still mad about it. I think, people in the audience, I know I'm a nut, but people in the audience, we buy into some of these rituals, like watching a Charlie Brown Christmas at the holidays or the Super Bowl in February. The Emmys were kind of a ritual in that sense. It was kind of like a pep rally or a kickoff for the new network fall season when it aired on the Sunday before the new fall season. Okay, so we bought into that. We let them, sort of co-opt us into being that audience. Okay, fine, I enjoyed it. And then NBC, because, we're not going to get any awards. We make so much money on football. It'll always be the number 1 or 2 show in prime time. Let's just move it a month forward. Now we don't want to go up against MTV's music video award, so we'll put it on Monday. And, I don't know. I haven't even looked at the ratings yet. But I think they really...
They held up.
Wow.
Did they really? Oh, wow. Well, let's see. And that. Well, now I can teach it round or I can teach it flat. No, but no, that was what made me mad about it. There was so much great talent on display in that awards nominations last night. That to treat them that way, to move them away from the best showcase they could have, a late September or third week of September showcase, I thought was kind of really crass on the part of NBC, and showed sort of their contempt for the audience, or maybe not contempt for, I'm going overboard, but where their priorities are. And that kind of upset me. But I would say if the ratings did hold up, it is because there was so much talent on that stage, and because TV is so good that in a way this telecast couldn't even diminish it, putting it on in August. I think it's a tribute to the talent that was on that stage, in that hall. Not on a stage, but in that hall last night.
And I have to say, they made a big deal about traffic.
Right.
For Emmygeddon. It took me 10 minutes to get there. Take Uber, like it wasn't that big of a deal, but whatever.
Well, I do think that everybody panicked so much. People were there super early.
I was there 2 hours
so I think
early.
I think that actually helped, because I think you didn't have like kind of that last minute crush that you get at the Oscars when everybody wants to be the last one on the carpet, and so they all like show up. So I think that actually the alarmist attitudes probably helped it run smoother.
Well, I was talking to Juliana Margulies on Friday, and she's notoriously always on time. Like, she's always the first one to everything. And she was sort of like panicking, because she's like, they're sending all these emails and sending me articles about the traffic. Like, what time should I leave? Should I get there at noon? Like, when should I? She was like panicking. I should have told her to
But there
take
were
Uber.
people on, because we were starting our coverage at like 1 o'clock or something. It was insane, and there were people actually there, and there were people like, did Jimmy Kimmel, who took the gold line? Somebody
Jimmy,
like at a mass transit. I think it's great. I mean, I think that was good that they got everybody panicked and it worked. Yeah, exactly.
Well, next year they will be back in September on a Sunday.
Really? They've promised?
Yes.
Okay.
Different network.
They might reconsider after.
And maybe they will, but I believe so. So we'll be back.
Move it to a
not
Tuesday
in August next year.
In July.
Maybe we won't be talking about Modern Family and Julie Louis-Dreyfus. We won't be talking about Breaking Bad. There'll be something new next year to talk about.
Can we talk about the Robin Williams?
We can. One last question, because I'm getting the
wrap-up. Sorry.
The music, the orchestra's playing.
Yeah, the orchestra's
imagine
playing.
it. But yeah, the Robin Williams thing was very, very touching, wasn't it?
Yeah. Backstage, Sarah Silverman was coming back to talk about her win, and she saw on the screen that it was about to be Robin Williams, and she was like, "Oh, I can't talk during this. Like, this is like disrespect." Like, she just like stood in front of the TV just watching it, and it was like you could hear a pin drop back there. People were just like so mesmerized by, Billy Crystal and the tribute.
Yeah.
It was such a difference from last year when, they overdid the memorials, and it really, it detracted from the very real losses that the community had last year. But this year it was just perfect. I mean, the beautiful song and the
way he walked out.
And then Billy Crystal I've never seen, he was perfect. He absolutely, spoke for millions of people, but also spoke for himself personally as somebody who was a very good friend of Robin Williams. And I think everybody's just still... just so crushed by that loss.
Well, David, thank you for joining us from Baltimore.
Thank
David.
Thank
you for inviting me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun talking with you. It was. Thanks.
Thank you.
And for more Emmy coverage, when you go to the Baltimore Sun's website, tout that.
My blog is Xeon TV. Go to Xeon TV. I need the traffic.
We all need the traffic, baby.
Yeah,
everybody's counting. Yeah.
LATimes.com. Lots of Emmy coverage, probably more than you absolutely need. But just keep going through it, because it's good stuff. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.